14th, 2025.
No, 17th.
17th, April 17th, I'm sorry, 2025, and I'm in Seattle. I'm in a place where I used to live, the Fry Apartments at 3rd and Yesler. I got a homeboy with me that I'm going to have a conversation with. I met him when we were staying at Aloha Inn, and then we both moved over to the Fry, and I went to Tacoma, but my man's still here. He's a pastor of a church, and we've been getting into a conversation about some of the things that have happened with him in the last couple of years. So again, Tracy Collins, here we go. And you're on. All right, Tracy, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you.
Yeah, Paul.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah, you've been trying to get me here for a minute.
Well, you know, I'm glad today we were able to get something together. This is cool. So tell us a little bit of your story. Because we met at Aloha Inn, and then you were going to be a professional athlete, but something happened, and
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, those ages ago, but I think I came here in I believe it was 1989, the end of 1989. And I got a buddy named Andre Hardy that got drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles. And through the years, he ended up having an opportunity to play up here with the Seahawks. So he thought it was a good idea to invite me up to train with him to increase his odds of making the team. So after that was said and done, ended up going back to California, and I decided to stay up here in Seattle.
And what years is this, like around 90, 92?
Yeah, this is in the 90s.
90s, okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was there for your daughters.
Yeah, but I think I met you, Paul, in when I meet you, that had to be like 2013, right?
Yeah, because I had gone through divorce and everything like that.
And so God had blessed me with a daughter, and she's no longer with us. She passed in 2016, and you accompanied me to the funeral.
Right.
You did the video and all that. You had an opportunity to meet her and feel her energy. And so, you know, in all that, though, the root of everything is, you know, I went to school up in Eastern Oregon State, and when I went there, these cats, it was up in the mountains, and predominantly, you know, white schools, only 2 black families in the town. But anyway, they did a lot of drinking, is my point. And a lot of keg drinking. So I learned how to beer bong and all that. So they taught me how to really get it in.
Right.
But while that was going on, and then after the games, the coach would he'd buy kegs for the team. But what they didn't take time out to tell me is how that ends up. And then they didn't teach me, they taught me how to start, but they didn't teach me how to quit. And so when I left college, I left with that beer habit. And that continued all through my adulthood, through my marriage. And I ended up having a divorce behind it. A lot of wreckage behind the drinking, back and forth out there in the hospital for organs hurting and that sort of thing. And so with that heavy drinking, you know, I did some maintenance drinking where I was able to hold down a job for a while and that and the other, but man, I just took to the streets, and when I started drinking heavy, I just started hustling, you know, trying to survive.
Right,
so
right.
Anyway, you know, which is, I know was short-lived, and I knew going in this would be short-lived, but, you know, for the time, it seemed like the best out. And so down the line, to get up to how I met you, is that the police had me under surveillance for like 3 months.
Wow.
And then, the cats that I ran with, I would tell them, hey man, it really seemed like somebody following me. And they would say, hey man, look here, he used to call me Traduce on the streets. And I got the Traduce through the football numbers.
Okay.
But anyway, they used to say, hey Deuce, man, look here, man, you need to, you get in contact with that purple bud. The purple bud was big back then.
Okay.
It was brand new, it was big and that thing. They said, man, you need to get away from that bud, man. When folks you get in that contact, you thinking folks, it's all paranoid. I look across the street, man, at night, and be in the apartment, but then be people in there for like 2-3 weeks. And then they leave. And still in the apartment, nobody really moved in. So one day some guy, he moved over there, man. I said, man, let me go on over here and
So what's going on?
see what's happening, introduce myself.
Okay.
And went over there and knocked on the door and tried to fill it out, man. And, man, sure enough, one day, my routine would be get up, go get me a couple of tall boys, smoke me a spliff, and then go get it in. And this one particular morning, I'm driving down, and good thing I had nothing on me. I was going to re up. I'm driving down the street, go see my boy over his house, and the police seem like they in the car with me.
In the car with you?
Well, they drive one way, I'm driving another, but
Okay.
I was like, wow, you might as well get in the passenger seat.
Right.
And then I crossed the street, and it seemed like they fell out the sky. It was nothing but FBI agents.
Oh, damn.
It was the SWAT team. I was like, and so I knew I had drank them 2 beers. So I figured, man, was I swerving?
Right. What was it called to get pulled over? Yeah.
So they tell me pull over. So I pull over, I got my window rolled up, and I figured that out from watching television. You don't roll the window down, you just pass your ID out.
Right.
Roll enough down. I showed my ID. They was not interested in my ID. I couldn't figure out. I'm up here trying to show them they wasn't interested in my ID. Get out, they had all these guns and all that. And I'm going through my memory bank. I ain't did nothing to nobody.
Right. I'm just driving. I'm black man driving. I'm trying to go home.
I ain't did nothing to nobody.
So they yank out of the car.
So I get out the car. The man trying to stick his hand all in my mouth. Man, what's going on? So I had to ask him. I said, why is everybody so mad?
Right.
I said, why everybody so mad?
Right.
I don't get it. And the man told me, after we there for about a half hour, we ain't gonna tow your truck. Why? I ain't did nothing. Ain't gonna tow it.
Right.
And so after a while, man, they down at the house, and the woman I was staying with, he said, should we kick your door in, or should we do it? I said, man, you're not gonna do it. I got some sense.
Exactly.
They let you in.
Respectful. Yeah.
So she let them in, and they went up on my bed and found a little gun. It was a pea shooter.
Right.
But it was enough for them to have leverage over me because I had a past delivery charge. Said
Delivery of
18
what?
years delivery of cocaine, crack cocaine.
Okay.
And so that was years prior. But what they did was they was trying to give me some outrageous, like 60 months or something.
Right.
They said my name was Garcia, and then we go to court. The judge said, you don't look like you ever been Spanish. I said, I haven't been. She said, well, you got to throw this out.
Right.
You got to throw this out. So they whittled it down. They said, well, you take 18 months. I said, no, for what? I ain't had nothing. I ain't done
Exactly.
nothing.
Right.
So the final deal was, okay, well, I'll tell you what we could do. What we can do is we give you less than a year. you take a delivery charge, and we drop the gun charge.
Okay.
And so, and you do less than a year, you do it in the county, so you don't go up the river, none of that. Which county is the hardest time to do.
Right.
And so, what I did know though, because how I was living, it had got to the point where I was looking for a change, but I didn't know where to find it. I didn't know how to go about it. And like I had mentioned earlier, I was only hustling to survive, you know, and I don't know, I just ended up, you say you're just gonna do this and end up being deeper than you wanna be.
Right.
But God has a way of taking what the world seems, or the empire seems to put on you to harm you.
Right.
But God has a way of making that what seemed harmful to you to turning it to the good to those that love Christ.
Exactly.
And so I knew God, and I had a relationship with Him. And the reason why I was back on the streets because I felt like I had lost a step with society. I wasn't as cool, a whole bunch of stuff, immature things. So anyway, I went back out there, and I had to experiment again with the world.
Okay.
And the world didn't change. I was the only one to change. So that misery was still there for me.
Is that your phone? Okay.
No.
I'm hearing your phone ringing.
That's the front desk.
Oh wow, it's pretty loud.
And
Okay.
so
you went after that. You went to Aloha Inn.
I'm getting it there.
Okay,
right,
sorry.
right. So with that, they say you can either, the deal was you do the year, but during court, I told the judge, I said, but Your Honor, I had no money.
Right.
I wasn't in a position of drugs. I said, so this statement that you want me to adopt to be my own language, man, I'm just flat out just lying on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, Mr. Collins, we can always fight the gun charge, and I'm gonna ask for 60 months out of that. So I said, okay, well, on about that day, and did the year. So I was in there, my heart, the first 2 weeks, I felt something tugging on my heart. And I said, no, I was trying to be bitter and angry because a woman that I was helping, this other woman somebody told me to help, she didn't want to snitch on me. So anyway, I'm in there trying to be bitter. But after about 2 weeks, I opened up the Bible. And like I said, I kind of knew my way around the edges and that sort of thing. And that's so I was affiliated with it. And so anyway, I wasn't quite decided that I want to throw myself at God's feet like that. You know, I had to get over myself. And so I decided, okay, it was a slow thing. And I just started reading. And so during my reading, I would have other men in the cell come up. This before I got just down here at the county. And they said, well, can I read with you? I read with them. And folks would ask me to pray. And at the county, the first few months, folks' mindset is different than it is after you get settled in and you start doing your real time.
Right.
Because people are still going to court and that. And so what I noticed is most people's prayer was about, Judge, give me life sentence, get me out.
Right.
It was all those kind of superficial prayers. It meant something, but it was superficial. But they sent me to RJC, and then they asked me, they want me a trustee. It's like, do I want to work and be locked up? I looked at it as slavery. I said, heck no. They told me to slip, I throw it back out.
Right.
They throw it up under my door, I throw it back out. And then one day they told me to roll it up. I said, I ain't did nothing.
Right.
What they gonna do with me now?
But you're throwing something giving you, so be uncooperative.
They went in and took me to the trustee tank anyway. Best thing probably happened to me in my life though as far as maturity and stepping into the calling of God. So I'm in the trustee tank, and they got this table.
Okay.
They over there, and they got a little circle, and got the Bible, and I'm sitting over here. I said, why? Because I know a little something. I want to act like I know something or with pride. So I played low key for a while, just wasn't around. One day this guy came in, and they finally invited me to the table. Man, you gonna come in and we read? And I was quiet for about a month. I didn't say too much, nothing. This one guy came in, and he quoted Genesis, early in Genesis, and I think it have to be Genesis, I don't know, about 6 or 7.
Okay.
Where Cain killed Abel. And he said, do you understand? And he quoted like 2 whole pages. And at the time, to me, that's big time. Word for word, he knew that scripture. And he said, do you know Cain and Abel? He said, cannibal. And I'm listening to this guy. That's why you need somebody that studied to help you study. And you can't lean on your own understanding because you'll go astray. He said, cannibal. And he said, Cain and Abel, cannibal. Cain was the first cannibal. And he said, he picking his teeth. When God came to look for him, he was picking his teeth with the brother bones. I said, boy, this guy's crazy.
Right.
And I said, boy, that's why. And he talked about he don't want to study with nobody and all that. That's why you can't just, some people say, I study on my own.
Right.
That's why you don't.
Okay.
You go home and do something on your own, but when you get in the Bible group, man, somebody can correct you. Hold on, man. Let me pull you in, man. You're going too far that way.
Right.
Hold on, man. This ain't quite what it means.
Exactly. Okay.
All right, baby. I love you.
And so.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
And so, it became the thing. So next thing you know, we're at the table. And, you know, when you're behind bars, what really happens, and I'm not trying to be prideful or in a braggadocious way, but who a person is who they are. And when all the other things around you are stripped from you, then it becomes a who's who on like individual manhood.
Right.
So everybody that bark don't bite. Everybody that's tough ain't really all that tough.
Right.
You know, and so you find out things when you're stripped of wealth and other things to hide you.
Yeah.
You know, you find out who's really who. Well, anyway, we get at the table in some kind of way though, and they come, folks before at night we hold hands and we pray for our families, but now people that they in, what they're praying for is they're praying for their parents, that good health. And they're praying for people. The prayers switch from getting me out to I want the people that I love God look out for them.
Right.
And the prayers got a little more meaningful. And so we would pray at night. Then we'd be at the table all day, reading the Bible and looking up stuff, and then the guards come over. And next thing you know, they looking for prayer. And then we do the sinner's prayer, lead people to the Lord through the sinner's prayer, Romans, the sinner's road, and to redemption. And so running hard for God, about 3 hours a day studying, and then working out. And then I was on the called the logging. So we waxed and stripped and waxed the whole place at night and that sort of thing. And every time somebody come through, or you catch a train once a week to go to prison.
Okay.
So at 4 in the morning, you come hit on the door. Hey Trey, come on, man, let's get our prayer here, man. Let's get. We pray before they can get on that chain. And so I would go to every Bible study that I could if you talk about God. And so one day these Mexicans, they might have it in Spanish, but Mexicans, you know, that I'm in most of the time for Bible study.
Okay.
I said, they're going to a Catholic service, but it's going to be in Spanish. And they said, you ain't coming? I said, no, they're going to talk in Spanish. They said, but if you come, somebody might talk in English.
Right.
So come on anyway. I went, man, and he did it in Spanish and English, and so I thought that was a charm.
Okay.
And so all this and that and the other, man. So I'm getting kind of feeling like I'm under the shelter of God. I think the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit moves a little more heavier in those confined, dark places than they do on the outside. I believe people pray a little more sincere
Right.
on the inside than they are on the outside.
Right.
I feel that people have that a little more closer connection to God because that's all they have to hold on to.
That's true.
All they have is hope.
Right.
You know, so, you know,
Well,
their faith is straight.
not to cut you off, they say he may not come when you call him, but he's always on time.
Yeah,
right.
he's
So
on
yeah,
time. He's on
sometimes.
time God.
Yeah.
He's on time God.
Wow. So how long did you stay at Aloha?
So I did that year in here, and so when I get out though, and I had an opportunity to get a place, but I figure I was with this woman, so I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna be with her. We'll be riding back and forth, and
Right.
she come pick me up. We go to the house, and everybody living in the house, her brothers, her mother, her sister, the house full. But yeah, I'm just getting out of jail.
Right.
I blew my place to get my own place because I come back with her. Wrong move. Always get your. And so I went up, but you know, I'm gonna make it work. Cause where else I'm gonna go right now? This is my first day out.
Right.
So the second day, her brother calling her B's and all out her name. So I warned him. I said, "Hey, bro, man, look, man,
Still your role.
I don't know how you and your sister really get down, but
Right.
when she with me, I'm gonna have to demand you respect her because she's with me.
Exactly.
Now, what you do when I ain't around, I got sisters and aunties and that, man, that's y'all business. But when I'm here,
Right.
he said, man, after you do,
Uh-oh.
I went over there, man, and that boy crossed his jaw and blood. His other brother said that, look, we're gonna call the police. And so, it's my second day out, so I went back in town, Seattle, and again, I slipped under the bridge, man. Somebody gave me a cardboard box, a little piece of cardboard. I didn't know what it was for at first, but I got to sit down for a while, figured it out.
Right.
And the morning I shook that boy head, and they said, man, this girl said, man, hey, do you want to go get something to eat? She said, I ain't got no money. So need where? She says for free. I said, what? Probably some bacon and eggs. Took me down there to Union Gospel Mission. And we stood in that line. And I said, for free. I couldn't figure it out. I said, it cost me nothing. Just stand there. She said, you can do this every day.
That's right.
So now I got a place I can go get. But what God did for me, He put me in this church, this Catholic church up there over by Harborview.
Okay.
And I slept on that floor for maybe 3-4 months.
Okay.
And I said, at least I'm in the house of God.
Right.
I'm on the floor, but I'm in His house. But I would go to the park and I would tell God, I said, well, you got me out here. I ain't got no way, no means. And I know you ain't seen me through all that for me to come back out here and pick up where I left off.
Okay.
I tried to be good for about 90 days. Next thing you know, I found me a sack and man, I wasn't living in, I ain't had to worry about the cot no more of that. I go to the house and I was sleeping in the master room.
There you go.
I had room service.
Right.
You know, my life took a turn. But at the same time, I'm still with God. I know this isn't your plan for me. I got this place down here to sell methadone.
Okay.
Getting real close to where I met you, Paul. Me and my wife, we had broke up because of my drinking and that and the other. And she said, just quit drinking. I talked that old young stuff. I met her when I was 28. I talked that old smart stuff. Well, you met me, I was drinking. And all that old silly.
Right.
Boy, oh boy. So anyway. I come down here, I go to methadone clinic, and at the methadone, just because you take methadone, you don't smoke crack.
Right.
So methadone addicts, they crack addicts too. So I go there and I'm trying to get my hustle on.
Okay.
Well, ain't nobody outside, so I get bold. I go walk through the halls,
Okay.
looking for some customers.
Right.
Man, ain't a living soul. So I go downtown, you know, I'm trying to get some kind of grind on.
Right. And that was here in Seattle.
This is Seattle.
Okay.
go to DES.
Right. Okay.
And a brother that I know, he was standing over by there, and he said, "Hey, Deuce, man, you gonna go down there to the stadium?"
Right.
And I said, "Hey, man, they got some housing?" Just being flippant. He said, "I don't know, man, I think so." He said, "But they give it out this, they give it out that, man, you should go." And I said, "You know what, I ain't doing nothing, we walking down there." And this is God working, so I go down there and I'm standing in line, and somebody tapped me and whispered in my ear with the sultry voice, "Hey, mister."
Uh-oh.
I turned around, it was my wife. And it was a real touching moment then. And so we get talking, and I told him I'm just out, and so forth and so on, and she gave me a number, and that, and I ain't seen her in years up to this point.
Right.
You know,
But she's still your girl, though, you said.
Yeah, we was tied till she passed.
Okay.
She told me she just wanted me to mature, get out of that.
Right.
And I couldn't see it at the time. And then when I matured, she said, "We had to get divorced for you to grow up," and all that old mess. You know how it go. But
Unfortunately.
when in your early 40s and that, man, you still got a little run. So anyway, so after I see her, and that's going all right, I'm trying to look for housing, and they're going to send me to Tacoma with Plymouth housing.
Okay.
Look, man, I ain't from Seattle.
Right.
I'm up here out of San Diego. I'm from Philadelphia. Man, I ain't got no ties here.
Yeah.
I got my daughter here. That's about it. But
Right.
she'll be all right. I'm going to Tacoma. I'm going to Tacoma. But this little old white man sitting in a chair gonna question me and say, "What you going to Tacoma for?" I said, "For housing. What you think?"
Exactly.
He said, "Man, you ain't got to go way out there for housing. You get housing here in Seattle."
Okay.
I look him over. "Hold on here, what you talking about?" He said, "Hey, man, housing for free." I said, "Man, you playing." He said, "No, man, we can set you up for a whole year, man. Housing for free, you ain't got to worry about it.
Okay.
Feed you there." "Man, you playing with me."
So what year is this? 2010, 2011?
This is about 2010.
Okay.
This 2010.
Right.
And so, so he said, "Okay." He said, "But the only catch is, it's Christian based."
But there's,
Well, hold on.
I mean,
this is what I'm looking for.
yeah, it's a
Anyway.
foundation, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, I asked God, "You send me to jail, send me on this mission. I'm up here trying to bring people to Christ in behind bars."
Right.
They called it the God pie and that and the other. And I get out, looks like I have to go back and hustle the streets again, but now you're going to send me to a Christian place.
Right. Not only a place, but a place to live.
And a place
with
to
a roof
live.
over your head.
Yeah, a Christian-based
And
place
keys.
to live.
Right.
No, but it's not quite. It was a mansion. That's
Okay.
what it was. A mansion up here, 16th and Spring.
Okay.
It used to be a nunnery.
Okay.
But now it's a mansion for
Right.
men to recover. And so it's called the Sunshine Inn. At least it was at that time.
Okay.
And so I said, "Man, well, for a year, man, that's something I might be interested in." He said, "Well, don't talk about it, be about it." This old little white man trying to have a little swag. And all that. I said, "Man," he said, "Man," he said, "Okay, I'll tell you what, you meet me tomorrow, we have lunch on 16th and Spring.
Okay.
Be there about 12 o'clock or whatever it was."
Right.
So on the way up here, I stop at the store on the corner, I get me a beer, drink the beer, walk into this place. It was an establishment. I didn't know. I thought it was housing.
Right.
It was, but I didn't know. I don't know nothing about none of this.
Right.
I didn't find out I had a habit until I was like 36. I thought it was, norm. You drink a couple beers, but
Right.
like consistent. So I get in. People say, "We smell beer." We sitting down at the table, and I said, "Yeah."
You smell like, or you smell?
They smell beer on me.
Okay, smell like. Okay, all right.
I said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
Look, I made sure I drank it before I came in there. And I took that beer can.
Right.
And I didn't put it on the street, I put it in the trash can. It's on the trash can on the porch.
Okay.
I didn't put it on the street. Everybody in there Boy, I ain't seen so many people fall on the ground laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing. I couldn't get it. Come to find out, it's a recovery place.
Hey.
So there's no drinking, no drugs. It's recovery.
Right. Okay.
So he said, "Hey man, I'm gonna need you to call in for the next till we get a bed open." He said, "But when you come back, make sure you don't drink before you come.
Please, yes.
This is recovery."
At least take a breath mint or something, right? Yeah. Eat some lime, right? All right.
And so, man, they finally called me and he said, "You don't know how it worked." Within 2 weeks, I was in. And so, within a week, man, I was, they picked me to be, I was captain of, like, the floors, making sure people did their beds and that. And then next thing you know, I was the captain over the Tiger team.
Okay.
Where we kept the place clean because of my janitorial experience. Next thing you now I'm a driver. So in 3 months from there, the pastor asked me, he said, "Hey man, we're going down to California to the Dream Center. You know anything about the Dream Center?" And you know, Dream Center is another big recovery center down there, and people learn 90 scriptures in 90 days, and they got a real militant way of going about it, but it's really successful. You can get your degrees, you can get your college degrees, get your diplomas. People get married down there. They give out a million plus pounds of food. Anyway, we went down and he said, "Would you mind driving down there?" We drove down there. So the administrator said, "I don't know, I think that pastor likes you. I don't know why." You know, so not thinking about it, we ended up 20 years later, he's like my best friend. So he like family.
Excellent.
And so we go down there, man, and man, we go to Skid Row and experience some of that misery. Praying for folks and work with them. We had this thing, a gifting kind. So on the way down there, he said, "Man, I like to eat some authentic Mexican food, right from the people that, you know, when they make it, not out the restaurant."
Yeah, right. The know-how.
So we down there, we knocking on the doors, we asked, "Can we empty the trash? Can we wash your dishes?" and all that down there in LA. And so we couldn't speak each other's language, but the Mexicans, they put out like 3 tables long, some sheets over it, and we had the authentic Mexican food.
Okay.
And so what people do down there at the Green Center, they pay $10,000 to go work with them, and to get the experience with ministry. And I think it's for, I don't know, 3-4 months.
Okay.
You know, so we was down there with people from England, Switzerland, from just different places.
Right.
And so, so I start feeding the kids up into UW.
Okay. I was like, well, you just said you were in LA.
That's so in LA. So when I come back
Okay.
to this to the recovery center,
Right.
not only am I driving, but now I'm starting to help feed the kids. We have outreach. The pastor, we got a church within inside the recovery center, and within the outreach, we outreach and we feed them kids up there around UW, around homeless. We give them blankets, we take food up there and that. So that led to street ministry. So from doing street ministry, and street ministry led to me leading a Bible study. And so, like right before I met you, you know, I was in this Christian intern service program, you know, and I'm top of the class, and I'm just saying, man, I'm getting A's and telling my pastor this, that, and the other, but I'm still going out on Pacific Highway, and I'm doing street ministry, you know, 2-3 times a week, and that, and the other. And then I'm reading the Bible with up in there, and I'm just going about my business, and in that way, I'm not thinking no kind of organization or nothing. And one day he called me in the office, he said, "Hey man, have you thought about being a pastor?" And so the only thing I know as far as that goes, being a pastor, is what I see on television, the 30 days, you send your stuff in, and you get, I told him, "Hey man, I'm good, bro. I'm good, but I'm doing."
Don't you know that?
I thought this was one of those, you know, rinky-dink.
Right.
He let me rest. He said, "Why not?" "Oh man, I could have sit there." And he said, No. And he sat down, and I'm with the Free Methodists now, but we sat down, and it's really an academic thing that you have to go through and be tested at different spots, and they really vet you and that sort of thing. It took me about 7 years to become to get ordained.
Okay.
And so, but it was different phases within the ordination
Right.
thing. And so within that, we had what do you call them homes? We had 2 transitional homes.
Okay.
And with people coming out the program, they able to stay. We was able in one house, I think we had 8 people, in the other house we had 6 people. So I ran both the recovery homes, and we had Bible study once a week within the recovery homes.
Okay.
And the goal with the recovery homes, not only Bible study, but teach the men how to live on their own again, and to push them out the house into permanent housing situations.
Right. Okay.
And so that was that part of the puzzle. And then they had this organization that I'm with. I had to do. The vetting was so intense to where at one point I asked them confirmation hearings. I did a couple of them. I had to get a psych evaluation. I had to get, so since I was divorced, I had to get a decree of divorce and so forth and so on. At some point, I told them, I said, man, I think I might be too urban to go and work with you guys. Man. I'll just go and keep doing what I'm doing. Y'all ordained me to do just what I'm doing. Right. Y'all can keep all this.
Okay.
But the bishop told me, he said, no, you have to be ordained by man.
Right.
And ordained by spirit.
Yeah. Okay.
He said, you gonna make it. He said, just hang in there.
Okay.
He said, don't give up.
Yeah, keep doing the good work.
I said, amen, because you push it. So we smiled about that, man.
Okay.
So come 2020 during COVID, man. My name comes up for ordination, and right on over here, across the water, what's over here down the street here? That's
on 3rd?
No, way over across the bridge over the water.
Oh, the island over there.
What's that called?
That's not West Seattle.
Right down here off of when you go past the Art Institute, you keep going by the bridges. What's that little city? I've been in a little while. Across the water where they got the boats with Trident, Star Kiss.
Not Magnolia.
Magnolia.
Oh, okay. All right.
Over by Magnolia.
Okay.
So just a little past Magnolia. And so anyway, man, we have a church over there.
Okay.
We're down there during COVID, man, and we got ordained.
Okay.
And but we messed up when I met you at Aloha.
Right.
Okay, so within that, man, so I did the Christian intern. So it got to the point where it was gonna kick me out, but the staff wanted me to stay.
Okay.
Well, I'm rushing out to do what? They say, you do another year in the Christian intern. We did the study and the books and that and the other. And I said, well, I done came this far. I might as well give God another year.
But Aloha, you can only stay for 2 years, right?
No, this ain't Aloha. This is at Riverton.
Okay.
This is at Riverton.
Okay.
So this from New Vision to Riverton.
Okay.
Sunshine Inn to Riverton.
Right.
And so I said, okay, I'll give God another year because what am I rushing out to do anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
I said, I'm in this situation. Let me give him all I can.
Right.
I might not get a chance to give him another year. But within that, I heard about the Aloha. So I see next guy named Jason over there. And Jason was in the treatment center with me. And I said, well, Jason, go on to Aloha. It didn't work out for him, but I knew it was a good place. And so at the Aloha, the setup is, what you do is you take your money that you would take for rent and you give it to them.
Right.
And they save it for you while they look for you a turnkey, a key for you to get your own place.
Right.
And I ended up being there about 17 months. I saved about 5,000, 6,000, I don't know, down in there. And then you give them so much a week, but it works out for you. You know, that's the way I had to go for me to get stable again. Right. So within that, I opened up a janitorial service, and I run into Paul. And so he's doing videos like he is now. So we did a real old video of me cleaning and whatnot. It was fresh with that, and that worked out for me for a number of years. I'm still cleaning today. And that just opened doors for me to do like car detailing and all those other things. You know, at the time I had a bad hip. And so one leg was shorter than the other. And so no one really would hire me in anything I could do to work. But I tell you somebody that didn't have a problem hiring me, and that was God.
There you go.
And then what he did for me is, well, you won't work for them, but what I'll do is you'll work for yourself and you'll make 3, 4, 5 times the money you'll make begging them for some money. And working for myself, I can never be late. I can never come in from lunch late. None of those kind of things, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I feel like sleeping in that day, I was able to sleep in. So God provided the whole time. So along the way, I ended up being a sober buddy to my boy. I got a buddy up in Kirkland.
Okay.
And ended up being a sober buddy to him because he was fighting. And that's another thing. Going through those struggles, I was thinking, struggles, God, why you sending me through this? But I didn't know he was preparing me for work to do.
See, that's
and
it right
so
there.
the preparation was, I'm gonna take your suffering and we're gonna get glory out of that. And all glory goes to God. And so the glory comes from me going through the suffering. Now I'm able to speak hope and I'm able to speak life into other people that's going through the same things that I was going through.
Exactly.
And then it's not just coming from the books. This is something I actually did. And this is something that God actually rescued me from.
Right.
He saved me from myself. And so I'm able to really have a heart-to-heart with somebody struggling with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or something along those lines. And so he took all that wreckage, and I looked at it as wreckage. But now it's like a pot of gold. And I'm able to draw from it on a daily basis in order to give back to the community, you know. So many wonderful things, man. You know, I fly out once a year. I belong to African Heritage Network. You know, now we preparing to, my credentials were sitting yesterday. Now I'm going back in the prisons and I'm going to sponsor people and bring the word of God into the prisons.
Okay.
So that's our next move. And so, yeah, man, just rocking steady, man. Staying focused on being the best me I can be.
There you go.
And recognizing that none of this would be possible without my faith. You know, and you gotta have faith in something, and we all do have faith in something. I just choose to have my faith in the supreme being who I'm choosing to call El Shaddai, as God Almighty.
That's it.
And I believe that for some kind of reason, man, just magically things happen good for those that follow Christ. At least that's my story.
That's great.
I don't have a lot of money. I done had some, don't have none. But he provides for me on a daily basis. What I was going to say about, so my guy called me. We had went to Los Angeles just about 2 years ago before I got my hip.
Right.
He calls me up. He said, "Hey, man, I'm going through it. I need you to come up here, man. I have this many days sober. I don't want to use. Can you come up and stay with me a couple of nights?" I said, "Man, my ankles are swollen.
Oh, jeez,
I just got back because we went to LA and we did some street ministry, and we was out there doing street ministry in San Francisco. That was
right.
And my ankles swollen. I told God, man, I can't even give you my all because of my ankles. I'm sure how God works. Because my ankles are swollen.
Right.
That's how God works.
Right.
I said, man, I have to get my ankles fixed. If you want what all I could bring to the table,
Exactly, yeah.
I'm only bringing party.
Right.
So
what do you
when I get
do?
home,
What do you do?
3 weeks later, he calls me and he said, "Man, can you come?" I said, "Man, my ankles, man. I just got back from San."
Right.
He said, "You can come up here and be sick. You can ice your ankles on the couch."
Okay.
I thought about it. I said, "Man, if you need me like that, bro, I'm there."
All right.
I shoot up there, man. Later on that night, I go through the chills and my ankles are bothering me.
Right.
And we rush to the hospital. 3 in the morning. I'm up in Kirkland now.
Okay.
And so I'm at the hospital, and so I tell the nurse I was in San Francisco, my ankles are swollen. And I said, "But my ankles are swollen because I need a new hip."
Right. Okay.
And I said, "I need a new hip, but they playing over there, heart review, this, that, and the other,
Right.
all this, that, and the other." They gave me some prescription for medicine, gave me a few pills and that and the other, sent me on my way. About 5 minutes on the way, she called me up and said, I have an appointment for your hip.
Okay.
I said, could you say that again? She said, I have an appointment you set up to see a doctor about your hip.
All right.
She said, what day work for you? I said, are you serious? She said, yeah. Man, within 3 months after that, I was laying on that operating table getting a brand new hip. Now, had I not went up there,
Right. You wouldn't have it.
if I said, man, my ankles, man, I just can't come back.
Right.
I wouldn't have a new hip.
So who paid for the hip? Insurance, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So who paid for it?
Yeah, insurance.
Insurance? Whose insurance?
Yeah.
You weren't working? What kind of insurance did you have?
Medicaid, care, somebody.
Yeah, so Obamacare.
Yeah. Obamacare.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. If I wouldn't have went up there, he asked me if I would have said, if I would have just been selfish.
Right.
It
all about me.
said,
All about me.
man, my ankles, man, I know you need me, bro. But
Right,
look here, man, I'm icing them at home, bro.
Right.
I'm comfortable. I got the television on. No, I get with you, man, Mike.
Right.
I would never have that hit.
Exactly.
So that goes to show when you pay it forward, you go out and do for folks when they need it done.
It comes back.
You don't know when or how it's coming back, but that's just an incident to where and today, man, I'm running around here 2 years or a year and a half, close to 2 years later, man, a new lease on life.
Right.
My hip, man, I'm able to walk, run. I never thought I'd be able to run again.
Wow.
And they said if I didn't get the hip, I might have been. I had a chance of being crippled for life.
Ooh.
And so.
I remember we talked before. You're on your way to pro ball, right?
Yeah.
Fresh athlete. Was it football, basketball? Football. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was interviewing by a few teams.
Okay.
Auditioning a few teams, and that was back in the '80s.
Okay.
So it wasn't set up the way it is
Nowadays, yeah.
the way it is today, man.
Right. So now we're 2025. You're sitting in the Fry Apartments at 30th and Yesler in
Yes, sir.
downtown Seattle.
Yes, sir.
And I used to live here also. I moved out right when the transition started. Transition means they upgraded the place, right? So, I mean, how's it like even now here?
Okay, so I was down there on the second floor where they had that garage right there, that brick wall. I had to fight that for a couple years.
Okay.
But I had my own place.
And you got keys.
And so I had my keys, so that wasn't a big deal. But then they renovated the place. This is one of the first, I guess, finest hotels that was built in 1906 or something around. They had the president come for the inauguration and so forth to open this place up. Paul can show you his marble floors.
Yep.
It had remnants of its past glory. It was, I guess it's a tunnel here from the train station to this place where the president could walk when I could. You didn't know about that?
I know what the tunnel.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I'm upstairs, man. I'm in the 1 bedroom, bro. My bedroom overlooks Mount Rainier and the stadium and that. And then I got a shot of Puget Sound.
Nice.
Throughout my living room, and I could see the Cascade Mountains that way.
Nice.
Water. Yeah, so it's been a blessing all the way around.
Sweet. So, I mean, we talked offline about you being a pastor of a church. I thought it was a church on Madison, but...
Oh, yeah, so about Madison, I had, but see, when we tried to open that church up, we didn't have enough people to justify the electricity.
Right, okay.
So, I'm not the lead pastor, but I am an ordained elder over at Rainier Valley Church. Okay. And like I said, street ministry, Bible study, prison ministry, and I chip in where I can. Okay. So that's what I'm doing today in the year 2025.
Beautiful.
So, Paul, you finally sat me down. I don't know how many years it took, but we did this.
We did, yes. And so as I was saying, I used to live here. Then I got remarried and moved to Tacoma. My wife, Jasmine Brown, is an excellent artist. And so she has a nonprofit. We're doing some good stuff there. And I told her she's got picked to do a sculpture in Portland, Oregon about domestic violence. Because that's one of the things she's got going on.
Okay.
She's been picked by or commissioned by Sound Transit to do some work that's going to be up into the Redmond station. And so, yeah. And so she's a phenomenal sister.
Yeah. Yeah, God works mysterious ways.
Don't, man. I would say she may not come when you want it, but she's always on time. So, yeah. Wow. So Tracy, any final words, man? I appreciate the time we're having here together. This is great.
I guess really the final words is, and it's not about outdoing. You don't do to be saved, but to be saved is to do.
Right.
And so if you got, the two pennies in the Bible is love God and love people. And if you love people, then you make yourself available to them. To offer them whatever help it is. Sometimes it's just a listening ear,
Right.
And be there for that. And another thing is that, and it's for me, I can't speak for everybody else. God's faithful. And he's been faithful to me when I wasn't faithful to myself.
Right.
Some people may have a different experience, but this is mine.
Okay.
And that's what I stand on.
Beautiful. Okay. Just one time. So once again, your man, Dr. Board, Dr. Jackson here, and talking about my good friend Tracy Collins, who actually used to live here. I used to live here at the Fry Apartments, and he lives here now also. But one thing we didn't really talk about is your business, because you were doing detailing cars, but also do carpet cleaning.
Yeah.
So
what I did was so since and this has to do with faith too. So everything I do had to do with God and faith seeing in the bottom line. So the faith part of this is while I'm going through treatment, I buy myself a truck. And after I get myself also a truck that next thing caught on fire. It wasn't worth a quarter, but they paid way for me to get nicer cars, right? No credit, so I had to go with whatever, you know what I mean? And so anyway, to build some stuff up. So I'm in here, and so I'm going through and just out of faith, picking out machines, the equipment that I'm gonna need. Because when I'm through here, I'm gonna open up because of my hip, and I know this ahead of time. I ain't gonna be sweating people about can I work for you and that. I'm gonna open up my own business. I'm gonna go ahead, and my goal was, to wax floors. That's what I've done. That's what I've been doing since I was 15. This is got me through school, side hustle, waxing, shining floors throughout the prison industry, the jail industry, and that and the other. So I'm up here thinking I'm gonna do some floors, and I'm certified. I got my certification, and that's another thing, another chapter. But anyway, I said I just opened up a business. It's easier. I felt it's just as easy to ask you, do you need your carpet cleaned,
right,
or do you need your floors done, as it is to ask a man, can I work for you? I say it's, to me, but the payoff is different.
Yeah.
If I work for you, now you're in control of my life. And if I come back from lunch, you let me go. If I come back late, you see, I'm in control of my money and
right.
I'm in control of my time. And so I say, this is the route I'll take, especially I'm getting older now. And so I think I'm about 50 now at the time, 49, 50. So I said, I'm gonna do this. So I'm picking out all the equipment I need, just what I need. But we over at this church, and what happened was they needed their carpet cleaned. And so I'm on the board, and so we talking about what it's gonna cost to get the carpet cleaned.
Okay.
yeah, this was gonna cost you to get the carpet cleaned, but we can take that same money and we can go ahead and buy me a machine
There you go.
and I'll clean your carpet for free 3 times.
Okay.
Which 2 of them are paid for the machine,
Right.
and the third one just on GB.
Okay.
That's how God works.
That's a good investment.
Beautiful idea. They signed it, sealed it.
Right. Okay.
And that's how I got my machine.
Okay.
Okay? And I picked out, and I got everything that I picked out. So on faith, I'm looking, I ain't got a quarter in my pocket. I'm in treatment. I'm up here. This is what I need.
Right.
This is what I'm gonna do. You pray over that, man. So I started getting accounts. People was hustling up accounts and that and the other.
Okay.
Then so I was only here after I got the machine, man, about 6 months or close to less than a year, I was over at Aloha.
Okay.
And so my ex-wife, this lady owned 3, she worked for Boeing, she owned 3 homes. So I was doing all 3 of her properties. I started doing Prince Hall up here.
Okay.
The Mason
Right.
deal. So I started cleaning for them while I was at Aloha.
Okay.
They was ripping me off. Nothing bad to say about the Masons, no. But anyway, and so anyway, I'm up here doing the Masons, and so I was just building one account over another as we go, and then, but you know what? I got on a plane, and I don't know where we was going. I don't know, we probably was in San Antonio or something. I'm talking to this brother, man, and we on the plane, and he talking about detailing. And then he showing me his detail, and he state to state, and how he getting down. And I said, hey, man, that ain't too far off from what I do.
Okay.
So I came back, man, and added some more to my equipment, man, and just add on to what I do, man, and next thing you know, I'm detailing.
Okay.
Okay. So my guy that I stayed with when I got my hip, that was my sober buddy, he said, man, can you power wash my place? He got a nice big place up there in Kirkland.
Okay.
And he said, the power wash, they charging some of the good ones charging $90 an hour. I said, oh, well, you know what? I ain't never thought about power wash, but it ain't a bad thing to do. So I charge $70 an hour.
Okay.
And so, you know, some people that catch my ass, they would say, man, because I had put it at 60 at one time.
Right.
Can you honor the 60?
Okay.
And it's 2-3 days. Yeah, man. We out at 60, man. You know,
Right.
man. And so, just taking initiative and looking for opportunities,
Right.
man. And that's how I've been surviving.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I think that's going to be it. Thanks,
right.
Mo. All right.
Yes, sir.
Peace. Stop that.